You may be interested to look at breach data. It's always interesting to study the data and to analyze what it tells you. I provided you with a link to the Verizon data breach report because it's one of the best tools I'm aware of that give you an overview of the malicious activity that's happening on the internet. So be sure you take a look at that link and study the report. But I pulled out some information from that report and others from the past. Look at the top 9 patterns of intrusion and then go to the summary of malicious trends in the bar chart that follows. And what you're going to see is a cluster of activity around something called miscellaneous errors. And you're also going to see some other kinds of malicious activities or faults that relate to human error. And unfortunately, the human being is the weakest link in any of our systems. We're very fond of thinking about the next firewall we're going to buy or the new technology we're going to add, but it's the people in the system that tend to be the weakest link. A friend of mine who is a CISO of a major city, or at least was, he now has his own business, has a t-shirt that says, "There is no firewall for stupid." I'm sorry to put it that bluntly, but another colleague of mine who worked 50 different breaches in a law firm said that they all boiled down to some element of human error. In the end, someone didn't patch something properly, somebody didn't update something properly, somebody ignored the rules, and those are just inadvertent errors. And then there's the deliberate attempts. We have famously Snowden and some folks like that have made headlines for their breach activities. So the human being is the weakest link and the toughest part of management, and the data shows it. Now moving on to looking at the distribution of the motivations behind attacks, you see that of the attacks that Verizon studied last year, the predominant attack vector reason, the intent, was cybercrime. And you still just see a very small wedge that is entitled cyber warfare. Now, I think this is the beginning of a growing trend, which is why we've brought your attention to the escalation of the threat spectrum and how it's tying in with other trends that are moving us towards a perfect storm. But we still see people motivated by hacktivism, expressing political views online, cyber espionage, stealing intellectual property or secrets. Moving to the last slide, it shows what countries are primary targets of what type of activity, and they're using the same color code as the previous slide. So look at the biggest red bubble. That's cybercrime, and the United States is the primary target. And as you look at the other targets around that graphic, you can see what other countries are suffering and in what order from cybercrime activities. At the same time, you can see motivations by country for other of the drivers behind cyber mischief. Take a moment to read the Verizon report and give some thought to what you would conclude in studying the data.